Welcome to the Jeremiah Show, Grown Man Speaking. Allow yourself to listen with intention.
Welcome to the Jeremiah Show, Grown Man Speaking. I'm your host, Jeremiah Parker, and today we're diving into something profound, something that stretches back through time for many families, generational trauma. Joining me is Leora Dale, a renowned expert in productivity and task management who also has deep insights into emotional health. Leora, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jeremiah. It's a pleasure to be on your show and to talk about such an important topic.
Leora, when we talk about generational trauma, we're dealing with the emotional, mental, and sometimes physical scars that are handed down through families. These aren't just individual experiences. They're woven into the fabric of our familial stories. Can you elaborate on how this starts and why it continues?
Certainly. Generational trauma often stems from significant adverse life experiences endured by our ancestors. This could be due to war, poverty, discrimination, or family violence. The impacts of these traumatic events leave imprints, not just in stories or memories, but in behaviors and coping mechanisms that are passed down. It's like inheriting an invisible suitcase. We carry these burdens and often don't realize they're not solely ours.
A suitcase, that's a vivid metaphor. So, if our parents or grandparents develop certain behaviors out of a need to survive, then it makes sense that those behaviors could manifest in us as tendencies or even reactions without very clear reasons, right?
Exactly. Let's say a grandparent went through the Great Depression. The survival mode and scarcity mindset they learned might manifest in the next generations as excessive caution or an inability to enjoy life without guilt. It becomes a pattern, a way to cope with stress or imagined threats.
And that can really limit one's life. So, Leora, how can we start identifying these patterns in our own lives? How do we tell if something is an inherited trauma versus a personal issue?
It's a process of reflection and awareness. Therapy can be a great tool in this regard, where professionals guide individuals through their history and family dynamics. Listening to family stories, understanding family reactions to certain life events, and then noticing recurring patterns in your own behavior is crucial. Journaling can also help you map these inherited feelings and responses.
That's insightful. Letting the past inform us rather than define us takes intentional work. Once these patterns are identified, what are some strategies to break the cycle and heal from this kind of deep-seated trauma?
Breaking these cycles requires self-compassion and patience. It's not a quick fix. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can provide tools to reshape thinking patterns. Mindfulness practices like meditation help to ground individuals, bringing them into the present moment rather than reliving past anxieties. Also, creating supportive dialogues within families where space is given to openly discuss feelings and past pains helps in demystifying these inherited issues.
It's powerful to think that something as innate as a dialogue can transform generational issues. Acknowledging shared histories and actively choosing better reactions together. Can you recall any examples or case studies where this kind of transformation has happened?
Indeed, there are compelling stories out there. One that comes to mind is a family where several generations had a pattern of harsh disciplinary approaches. The cycle was broken when one member chose to explore this behavior through therapy. As they shared their discoveries, their family became more understanding and open to new approaches in parenting, thus fostering a more nurturing environment.
That's remarkable. Change might start with a single individual, but it radiates through an entire family tree, altering paths for the generations yet to come. It's inspiring. It makes me wonder, how do we maintain these changes? How do we keep from slipping back into old habits?
It's crucial to cultivate an ongoing commitment to self-awareness and education, regular check-ins with oneself, or perhaps pursuing continued conversations with family members keeps the momentum going. Setting clear boundaries and expectations and allowing room for vulnerability and growth creates a supportive community feel within the family. This is where tracking progress becomes valuable, recognizing little victories as they happen.
I suppose it's like tending to a garden. Continual nurturing ensures growth and resilience. On that note, Leora, could you share some practical exercises our listeners might use to help them start this journey of healing from generational trauma?
Certainly, Jeremiah. One effective exercise is to create a family genogram, which is like a family tree, but with emotional and relationship dynamics identified. Another is Letter to Ancestors, where one writes to a predecessor discussing perceived inherited patterns and whether to continue or end those legacies. Also, mindfulness exercises like breathing deeply during moments of family stress can switch reactions from impulsive to thoughtful.
These exercises sound hopeful and actionable, something our listeners can take away and integrate into their lives. As we start to wrap up, what final thoughts or encouragement would you offer to our listeners embarking on this challenging but vital journey?
I'd say understanding and breaking free from generational trauma is one of the most empowering things one can do. It's an act of bravery and love, not just for yourself, but for your family and those who follow. Begin with small steps, celebrate the progress, and remember you're not alone in this journey.
Family, if you've been rocking with the Jeremiah Show, Grown Man Speaking, then you already know this podcast is about real talk, real growth, and real men becoming better every day. But this movement only grows when we grow it together. So if you value the game, the honesty, and the wisdom we drop here, support the show by grabbing the paperback, the ebook, or the audiobook. Every purchase helps this platform stay independent, stay authentic, and stay speaking to the men who need it most. Hit the link, get your copy, and keep the conversation going. Grown Man Speaking. Listen with intention.
That's a beautiful message, Leora. Thank you for sharing your insights today. It's been an enlightening conversation, and I'm sure our listeners will find it just as beneficial. Thanks to all our listeners for joining us on this episode of The Jeremiah Show, Grown Man Speaking. We encourage you to reflect on your own family stories and join us again next week for more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, take care and be kind to yourselves.
Thank you for tapping in to the Jeremiah Show, Grown Man Speaking. Until next time, move with purpose and listen with intention.